You were never supposed to turn your eyes toward mine and light up the dusk of my quiet life. You were just passing by. Another face, the world would blur into a million others. But then you looked, and suddenly the walls I'd lived behind for years turned transparent. You were never supposed to find me in the silence between royal duties and golden gowns, but you did. You walked through the stillness like you belonged. Like you'd always known there was a girl behind the crown, waiting to be seen, not as a sovereign, but as someone capable of softness, of longing, of dreams unspoken. I told myself you were just a chapter, not the whole book, but you wrote your name across every page I'd yet to turn. You made me forget the rules, etched in centuries, made me forget the lines I was born to walk, but they're full of you now. Your laugh like a sword through protocol, your presence like poetry where only duty had reigned. I watch you without meaning to, hope without permission, and that, above all, was what you were never supposed to do, make me fall in love with you so fearlessly. It's not a name people say with softness, most wrap it in titles, in obligation, but you said it like a secret, like you'd found something hidden inside the syllables no one else cared to look for. You shouldn't have smiled at me during the gala, when everyone else bowed or stared. You smiled like you knew I was just a girl trying not to disappear beneath the weight of a kingdom. That smile, the one that undressed every layer of royal calm I wore, shouldn't have meant anything, but it did. And now, every time you laugh or brush your fingers against mine like it's nothing, it feels like something dangerously close to sacred. You have no crown, no throne, but you walk into my world and make it feel like home. I wasn't meant to notice your hands, your shoulders, the way you listened like every word matters. I wasn't meant to count the hours until we meet again. I was meant to rule, not to want, meant to lead, not to ache. But you, with your unguarded heart and your maddening sincerity, you were never supposed to feel like the only truth in a life full of beautiful lies. I trained to be flawless in front of diplomats, composed in crises, polished like marble in the eyes of a nation. But around you, I become something I don't recognize, something raw and young and helplessly human. Every part of me that palace walls have tried to smooth away begins to bloom when you're near. I catch myself hoping for moments I can't have, long walks through normal streets, messy coffee in tiny cafes, your arm around me without the eyes of the world dissecting it. I dream of things I shouldn't. I imagine your lips on my forehead after a long day. I imagine your hand finding mine in the dark. That's not what daughters of kings are meant to do. But you were never just a man in the crowd. You became a rhythm I can't unhear, a scent I can't forget, a memory that won't leave. You laugh and kingdoms fade. You whisper and I unravel. You were never supposed to matter. You were never supposed to become the ache I carry in every silence, every speech, every smile I fake. My life has always been a choreography, each step plotted, each gesture rehearsed. But then you, with your untamed heart, rewrote the tempo. I find myself turning toward your voice before I even register the sound. I find myself breathing easier when you're near, like my lungs finally remember how to expand. It's terrifying, it's beautiful. I read history and see how love has ruined monarchs, how it has started wars, split nations. I am supposed to love responsibly, quietly, with logic, never too much. But you are not a responsible kind of love. You are not the love a princess is meant to choose. And yet when you look at me, I forget the world. I forget the weight. You see me, and I remember what it is to feel without calculation. There is no law for what I feel when your fingers brush mine, just wildfire. You were never supposed to mean so much, never supposed to change the way I see myself. But now I wonder, what if I'm not just meant to wear a crown? What if I'm meant to be yours? You were never supposed to remember every little story I told you in passing, but you do, like they matter more than press releases or policies. You remember the book I love, the song I hum when I think no one's listening, the way I hold a teacup when I'm nervous. That's not how people love royalty. They love the idea. But you never fell for the crown. You saw the girl beneath the silk and secrets. You asked about my fears like they weren't weaknesses. You told me I had the right to want something for myself. Who gave you permission to be this gentle, to look at me like I was not made of gold and glass, but of skin and longing and quiet courage? I never asked you to fight for me, but every time the world reminds me of who I must be, you remind me of who I am when I am no one's heir. And that is the most dangerous love of all, the one that makes me believe I can be both queen and yours. I hid it so well, from the cameras, from my parents, from the court, that never stops watching. But one evening, I cracked, and there you were, not asking questions, not demanding reasons. You just sat beside me and let me unravel. You touched my hand like it was already forgiven. You looked at me like I wasn't failing. I wanted to run, I wanted to be strong again. But you held space for my sadness like it was sacred. You told me I didn't have to be perfect. No one ever says that to a girl born to rule. No one ever tells her she can fall apart. But you did. You said it like a vow, and I believed you. And ever since then, your name has lived on the inside of my ribs, pressed close to where I hide the parts of me I never let anyone see. You were never supposed to be the one I need, but when the world is too loud, when the weight of expectation crushes my breath, you are the first name I whisper. You weren't meant to steady me when my world spun under the pressure of public duty and political theater. But you did. You caught me when I tripped on my own mask. You reminded me how to breathe. I don't think you even know how much you've done, how many nights you've saved without ever knowing I was drowning. You joke so easily, speak so freely, love so fearlessly. You give your heart like no one's ever broken it. How can someone like that exist in my world, in a world of protocol and caution? You were never supposed to belong here, but somehow you do. In every corridor, every garden, every quiet hour stolen between appearances, I look for you. I live for those fragments of realness only you seem to bring. You weren't meant to anchor me, but you became the only thing that feels real when everything else is performance. You were never supposed to feel like home. But when you stand beside me, I believe, maybe for the first time, that love might be braver than duty. I knew better. I know what becomes of fairy tales. But then you touched my wrist like it was delicate, sacred even, and said you'd wait no matter what the world tried to take. And I, who never let myself need anyone, believed you. How dangerous you are with your quiet loyalty, your effortless kindness. You show up when I least expect, and every time my heart lurches like it's brand new. You weren't supposed to make me want a life I can't have, a future not carved in tradition but in choice.